Hey, it's Robert Clickybeard, the host of the Commercial Landscaper podcast. These podcasts challenge you to grow as a leader, to stretch yourself beyond your comfort zone, and to 10x your company. I really encourage you to enjoy the show, share it with teammates, fellow business owners, and subscribe. That helps us grow our community. Hi, this is Robert Clickybeard with the Commercial Landscaper podcast. Really excited today to be joined by Melissa and Justin Bates. Thanks for joining me on the show today.
Hey, how are you?
So for our audience, I'd love for them to get to know the two of you. Do you want to talk about your background, please?
So I'm Melissa. So my background is in landscape design and construction. I went to Penn State University. And after I graduated there, I worked for a large tree care company for about 3 years before joining Bates. I've been here from the start of things, which has been really exciting to kind of see everything grow up until this point and hopefully kind of continue to grow. That's my background right now. I focus on business development from the commercial maintenance and snow side of things, as well as still construction and design. And I also am an adjunct instructor at a trade school for landscaping.
Thank you, Melissa.
My name is Justin Bates, and I started Bates Landscaping somewhere right around 2011. Before that, grew up in the industry, kind of working with my father. He has a small time business growing up. So I learned the trade from him. And then after high school, went into the restaurant industry for a little bit, kind of decided after a couple of years that I hated being inside. I wanted to get back outdoors. So I started cutting lawns and with one mower and one truck and kept growing the business from there. And then eventually brought on Melissa, brought on my brother, and conned most of my family to come in and work with me and help me grow the business.
Can you give me like a rough idea of company size, what services you provide? I know you play a big part in the community as well, so I'd love to just sort of hear a little bit of that background.
Yeah, so we have about 30 employees full-time during the green season. We scale up to somewhere between 80 to 100 during the snow season. We're in the Northeast, so snow is a big part of our business. And then we also rely on a lot of service providers throughout the year for the green and the snow industry. The snow part of our business is more service provider than the green, but we kind of utilize both all season.
I'm a big believer in this, but you have a mission. What is your mission? What's something you tell your customers or even your employees?
So our mission is that we want to be the best company to work with and for. We believe that we really have to focus on our employees first, making sure that we not only have the right people, but that they're supplied with the things that they need and that they really understand what we're going for, right? My real main goal is to grow the company to the point where it's bigger than myself, bigger than my brother. There's too many people relying on it for their lives and their livelihood for it to go anywhere without us being around. So that is really what we strive for. And I'm a big believer that if we take care of our people, we make sure we have the right people on board, they're going to naturally care about our customers and they're going to take care of our customers the right way. Because I can preach to them all day about what we should do for customer service and about how the customer's right. You got to make sure you call them back. But if the person doesn't care, if they don't see what's in it for them, they're just not going to do it when your back is turned. Right. So that's a big part of what our mission is.
One of the things that caught my attention when you were doing your intro there, you do have obviously some family members involved in the business.
Yes, very much so.
I've heard some good and bad stories regarding family members involved. So I'd love to just hear about how you work that dynamics, because obviously, there can be some confusion. You could have, I suppose, people that are not family members maybe feeling left out. So how do you navigate all those challenges?
So like I said, I learned the industry from my father. He's still in the landscape industry. He runs a separate business apart from us. Okay. He actually works with us on some projects, but runs his own thing. He doesn't want to have the business to go do what we're doing. He says that what we do sounds like a nightmare to him, right? So he likes it tight so he can touch everything, which is great. My brother runs the operational part of the business. So he runs all of the guys, the equipment, making sure, all of our equipment purchasing, all of our scheduling, all of our big complicated issues on jobs all go through him before they go to the schedule, like yes or no at our pre-con meetings. Melissa is our lead salesperson. She trains new sales reps. She does all of our business development. She sets up things like this podcast today, right? Her sister
Yeah.
Megan is a key part of our team. She basically grew the business with us from the start. She was our office manager for a long time and recently switched into an account manager role. My sister, Kaylee, now took her spot in the office manager role. So our Dylan and I sisters now.
Now this is becoming like a family tree. It gets very complicated.
It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. So we like it. I like it personally. I've found that, and I'm in some peer groups, so I do some networking, and I've talked to other guys that run family businesses and some guys with their brother. And I've had guys tell me like, oh man, like, what's that like? I can't stand running a business with my brother. I haven't had that experience. I've been very lucky. I really like running the business with my brother. I like running the business with Melissa and with her sister and my sister. I found that the thing that's been the most helpful for me is that when people come on, you just get it out in the open right away. Like, listen, we are family, but this is our company and this is business. And we need to be able to talk to each other and disagree on things. This person has the ultimate say in this division. So Dylan has his lane of operations. I always have feedback and operations, obviously, because I'm like, I'm bouncing all over the place. What we do in operations, whether we buy a dump truck or a pickup truck, or whether we run a 3-man crew or a 6-man crew on maintenance, is ultimately his decision. And I don't try to override that. I give him my feedback. Sometimes our feedback is an argument, but at the end of the day, that's up to him. And then on my end of the business, finance, how we manage cash, how we do reporting, things like that, that's my decision. And then sales, who our ideal client is going to be. The fact that we've decided to really focus in on being like a community landscaper, HOA, apartment, where people live focus is Melissa. So that's been the biggest thing for us.
So clear roles.
Clear roles and not overstepping and just kind of checking yourself at the door. Like, look, like we said that this was going to be that person's part of the business and you got to let them do it. And I'll admit it's hard for me sometimes because I want to be involved in everything, right? Because I started it. So I'm like, so it's tough sometimes, it is. But you really have to check yourself and you have to come to that agreement very early on.
Obviously, clear roles is great, from an operational side. But, as you continue to grow and get bigger, and you start to grow, maybe there's a strategy, maybe we're scaling, maybe we're going to different towns, different states, then it becomes a little bit more, strategic. So how does that play into, do you all work together on that strategy, or is that down to you, Justin, or how does that play? Okay.
Yeah, that's me. So vision and mission is me. That's my part of the business. I write the vision for the company and the mission for the company based upon the feedback that I get from Dylan and Melissa. And then I roll it out to the team. Then we talk about it openly, poke holes in certain ideas. If something needs to be changed, we change it. We just have to work together on it. But as far as like you're saying, vision, expansion, things like that, we have one person that writes it and then shares it with the team. And then
it breaks off into separate divisions and things like that. Because it plays a lot on what your strength is as a person, we feel like, and putting people in certain roles based on their strengths, like personality testing and stuff like that, is important because like one of Justin's personality profile things from the Gallup stuff is that he's a futuristic planner. So like knowing that it's just a perfect fit for him. And, like knowing the competitiveness that I bring to things, sales comes naturally. So it's like, it's just one of those things that when we do like a personality onboarding with people, that we know where they're going to make the best fit within the dynamic of the group.
I love that. I'm a big fan of the personality assessments. So, and just understanding where people's strengths are, but also where their blind spots are.
Yeah,
it's been huge for us.
Yeah.
We implemented that a few years ago. We use a company called Predictive Index. I have a rep there named Barry. The guy's great. But yeah, it's really been fantastic for us as far as implementing that and using it in our hiring process is big time.
You may not have thought about this yet, but we talked offline about, kids, and then as your kids get older and different family members have kids, have you any thoughts about how they play into, being future leaders and roles around that?
I don't want that unless they want it, right? If they really want it, I'll hire them and let them work their way up, just like I did, just like everyone else has. But I'm not, and this strategy is completely different for different people. And I don't think one way is right and one way is wrong. But I'm not a believer that when my kids are of age, that I'm going to put them in management roles and they're one day going to own the company that I built, right? This is like, it's our company, we built it. And if they want it, they can work for it, just like I did.
Yeah, I've seen some good scenarios and bad ones but the good ones are there was a clear path into a leadership role. They had to spend so much time at this branch. They maybe had to work in another state for a period of time. So there was a clear path that every family member had to go through that before they were even considered for that leadership. And I really liked that because it was almost set beforehand rather than being able to sort of pick favorites and stuff like that. So
they might not even want it anyways. They might see us and see our family and be like, oh my gosh, I don't want any a part of that. So nothing that we ever want to like push them in. You can tell they already have their own skill sets and things, and we'll foster that however it becomes, but yeah, nothing intentional.
Yeah, we're not writing the vision around it. I've talked to more than a few guys who end up selling their companies close to retirement age to another company or to private equity because their kids just don't want anything to do with it. So
right.
I'm not building the vision around it, but if they want it, yeah, great. They can work for it. I'm more than open.
So how are family dinners? How's Thanksgiving? I mean, do you talk business? No business?
Melissa and I don't really talk business.
Yeah, we don't really, we try to steer clear away from that. It's just what has worked for us, just because, there's a lot of things that go on during the day that, you want to talk to your significant other about, but, we try not to bring that kind of stuff up. That's why I have a big friend group myself that I can talk to about that kind of stuff. But we've always found just with our dynamic and how we work as a couple and a family to not talk about that kind of stuff and bring those kinds of things up. But if we're at like a family get together, we might, talk about a couple of things, but nothing serious. We try to just keep it at work.
When there's a big get together, there's always discussion of business.
Yeah.
Not at home, but like when there's a big get together, it's like me, my brother, our dad, he's still on landscaping. Megan might be there. So we're always like, we're always just kind of talking shop a little bit.
Yeah.
But mostly like your weekly dinners at home. Trying to put that wall up as best as we can.
Obviously, I could tell by us even talking so far. I mean, you're big into people. You have so much respect for not only your employees, but the community and team members around. But obviously, part of the community piece is your clients, and you've probably got male, female, all different preferences, all different needs. How do you approach that? I suppose with making sure that when you do find new clients, customers, they are a true fit for your company and your culture, and then once they are a client of yours, then what's that ongoing communication look like? How do you keep that retention high?
Yeah. So that's a lot of what I do. So whenever I'm talking to new customers, like right now, we're doing a lot of onboarding, and I take them through a discovery period where really try to get to know them, try to figure out what type of service level they're currently having, how long have they had their current provider for, what sort of relationship do they have, what feedback do they have in terms of like constant complaints that they've gotten or communication and things like that. Because from our standpoint, it's really important for us to know the customer before we can give them any pricing. We don't find it to be a good fit for us if it's just a blind RFP, just looking for numbers from us, because that's not really where we excel. We really excel with people by being a problem solver, creating value to them. And if I don't ask the right questions, I can't provide them a solution. We go through a pretty extensive discovery period with lots of meetings with boards and property managers before supplying any sort of numbers. So there's always that first like initial talk. And, a lot of times, like if some of the feedback that I'm getting after I've targeted some questions is, hey, we're having a lot of issues with, say, for example, the communication that they're currently getting from their current vendor, or maybe the way that it's being tracked on the back end with paying invoices or knowing clock-ins and stuff like that. What I'll do is I'll bring in somebody that excels in that, say our account manager, and I'll bring her in and I'll say, okay, like this is what the issue is. We're going to talk to them about this and how we can help provide better level of service for them. So we might use the platform. So we use LMN. So if we're using LMN and we can show them the portal that they have, we can show them how our guys clock in and all the pictures that they take during their service, which is especially helpful for snow removal. And then the account manager can then talk to them about how we communicate, how they get on a 30, 60, 90 plan with us and all of that. But like, I can't tell them any of that if I don't know what their current experience is like with their current provider and why they're even going out to look for, a new vendor in the first place.
I like how you spend a lot of time filtering that and doing some interviews up front. I don't think a lot of companies do that enough. One of the challenges, and I've experienced this myself, you do all that pre-work, you go out guns blazing that first month. Over time, you get more jobs. Maybe there's a turnaround in account managers. It's trying to keep that communication notes or that level of service or expectations, I suppose, solid within that client profile for a year, 3 years, 5 years, because there's a tendency, again, I've experienced it myself, where, again, you go in really hot, and then as you get bigger, you tend to lose sight of some of that initial things that got you the job. How do you manage that part?
For us, it's important to keep a lot of those things like you're talking about, like the longevity of the customer. Say we've had a customer for 8 years, right? Using LMN and Monday.com, we use a lot too. By using certain platforms, we can run reports in the background for the customer so that we can see, okay, like we've estimated for you, say, $50,000 worth of enhancements, these enhancements over the course of the past 3 years. And say, for example, they switch property management companies, but we've always talked with the board. We can pass along all of that information to them so that they can have a report to go off of these are the things for tree work that we've proposed, or these are the enhancements that we've said for the irrigation system that should be done. LMN is great with that kind of stuff. It's able to pull some background reporting. That helps our account managers a lot. But then when we give the customer access to things like the portal in the background, they're able to run filters for different things that we've proposed to them over the past couple of years, clock-ins, things like that. So that if there is any changeover, which with property management companies or even boards, they might switch over every couple of years. So that new person has that feedback and everything that we've been talking to them about and reports that we've been giving them.
And that could also be even with change of account managers.
Yeah. Yeah. And we try to stay away from, like, as much as Google is great and like Google Drive and like Excel spreadsheets and stuff like that, it's just not, we try to be as technology forward as we can using certain AI features and stuff like that, ChatGPT and stuff. So like with that kind of stuff, we try to rely heavily on technology so that we can bring that to the forefront for our customer and be as transparent as possible. Because obviously, we want transparent feedback from our customers and we want to be able to give them that service because they might not see us all the time. Homeowners might see us but they might not see us at 4 a.m. when we're clearing the snow from their property, but they need to know that we're there. So having that technology piece to be able to give to them so that they can log on at 5:30 in the morning when, Mr. Smith followed up with them 8 times, that they can be like, oh, well, Bates was here at all of these times. Look, I can even see your house if I zoom in, so.
That's funny. I like that.
And obviously it's good info in, good info out, right? So like if there's customer calls about a problem, make sure you put it in the computer. If we mess something up, then make sure you put it in Tom notes, because when you look back on that contract, if you made the same mistake twice a year for 3 years straight, you want to make sure you bring it up at renewal. Like, hey, here's what we're doing to address that.
How do you handle male, female, or even personality conflicts? Because, maybe, the way we operated, we had the book of business. It was very geographic, trying to make sure there's very little windshield time between jobs. But, there might be a male or female account manager. But obviously, sometimes either conflicts come up during a contract or maybe at the beginning where you bring somebody on board and they have a preference there. How do you handle that type of scenario? Because, he's got that conflict there between you wanting to be efficient with managing that book, but you also want to make sure that you're keeping the client happy as well.
We try our best to match people up with what they're looking for. Like, an example, like we learned pretty early on about that dynamic, when we made our first acquisition like 10 years ago, we picked up one of our first community associations. Like I have, I went to school and I have a lot of experience, and Justin does too, but there's just a little bit of a difference, in some of the things that I know versus that he knows with, technical things. But so we learned pretty early on the whole dynamic of things when I've been trying to take over an account. And I remember this one HOA very specifically, like 10 years ago, I was like, okay, like I'm going to be your account manager. I can kind of help you. And Justin was there too. And I remember walking around, and every time that I would say something, he would look at Justin like he wanted Justin to give him the feedback, even though I knew, and Justin didn't even know the answers to some of this stuff.
Yeah, it was all stuff to do with plants.
It was all plant things. He was like, oh, Justin, what's this? And I would answer, and then he'd be like, Justin, what's that? And so it is what it is. From my standpoint, there's nothing that I can do to kind of like change somebody's mind about that. I can't be offended by it. It is what it is. It's just how some people feel. And so matching somebody up with the right person, like I didn't end up taking over that account just because, I don't want them to have a bad experience with us. And even if I am answering everything correctly and scientifically and, properly, if it's not coming from the person that they might want to hear it from, then it's like, I'm not very useful for them. So, and that is what it is. My feelings aren't hurt.
and vice versa. We had the same thing at a residential client years ago where my style is a little more direct and she just didn't like that style. And that was okay. She was a client for a long time. She was a great client.
Yeah.
But I didn't deal with her again. It was, all Melissa from there because she just didn't like my style at all. And that's okay.
Let's take a minute to thank our sponsors. Urcher is a life brand born from grit, founded by Zach Strausser. The mission is clear: to raise $1 million for the trades by supporting vocational training across North America. Urcher makes tough, smart gear built for landscaping and snow professionals who work hard outside every day in all conditions. Their apparel puts safety first, helps crews look sharp, and honors the pride in their craft. Every purchase has purpose, fueling training programs and building a resilient workforce. Urcher isn't just workwear, it's a culture of respect, resilience, and results. When you contact Urcher, mention Wilson360 and Zach and his team will take well care of you. Do you have like we used to call them almost like a proxy manager where, they may be their contact with a certain person, that same personality, but there was actually, in reality, there was a different account manager inspecting the job because it was more geographically fitting?
Yeah, so we'll have like a project manager or we'll have their account manager, but they'll always have one contact, like their account manager. So we try to match them up with that person, but we really try to make sure that we can do our best to not like be a chameleon, but like if somebody is very data driven, then you don't want to talk their ear off about things that don't matter to them. You want to make sure to give them the facts. Like in 2023, it snowed X amount of inches. This is how much you were built. That's how they want to be spoken to. So like, I think with, managing customers' expectation, it's important to read the customer and understand how they want to be communicated with. So that you can match that. Like I call it being a chameleon. It's not about changing your personality, but I think it's more about trying to address them the way that they want to be addressed and communicated with.
As the company continues to grow, maybe develop new systems, leadership development, what are some of the things that are important in your mind as the company keeps evolving?
Adoption of new technology and making sure that we're not using too many things or going in too many directions. One of the big things that is on my plate right now personally is to push through making more SOPs for the company. We're utilizing AI a lot for that. I would really like to see the company grow to a larger revenue and a larger client base, but probably with the same amount of managers, or maybe if we grow 100%, maybe just 25% more of the managers that we have, because we're really utilizing technology. One of the things I'm trying to work on now is getting a lot of my managers that have trucks out from behind the computer screen, spending too much time checking clock and things like that. So that's just like a little thing.
But though in turn with that by doing a lot of that and utilizing technology more and trying to stay a little bit more leaner, we can afford to pay a lot more and invest in them a lot better. So, account manager that might have been making $85,000 a year could, make $125,000 a year. And, by being more efficient on that end, we can just be a better place to work for and with in general so that they can make more money and have a better life.
Yeah, I mean, our real goal is to grow the company and to be able to have people not hit a ceiling in their career that's put in by not having the opportunity here and having to leave, right? Mm-hmm. So we want to make sure that people can move around the company, people can make more money, and that they can really do what they intend to do when they come to work, which is support their life outside of work, right? Like that's why people do it.
Yeah, and that's why we were. My old company gave them the tools for them to be successful. We didn't want them to have any excuses, any limitations. So laptops, Wi-Fi, whatever, they needed to do to be successful. And I think, as you say, you made an important point about AI elements. If you can introduce some AI, some automation, then, could that help? I think some people are worried about them losing jobs, but I think in reality, they just could become either more efficient or more productive.
I had an account manager tell me yesterday. So I made a prompt in ChatGPT GPT, and I told her that I wanted her to start using it to build her estimates because I used it for a couple of weeks, tested it myself, then rolled it out to her. She told me that she made 3 estimates yesterday that would have taken her 15 minutes a piece, and it took her 2 minutes total.
I like that.
Because all she did was walk around, talk to it, voice to text, and then it built it for her. She would proofread it, send it out. And that's it. And I think that's where you're going. I don't think it's that you're going to have like, I'm going to go around and like get rid of all our office staff. Like, I don't see that. I see that I'm going to be able to have the same people not doing the things that are boring, like having an Excel sheet on each screen and then matching up the numbers. That's going to be done for them. And now they're going to be able to do the things that they enjoy doing that are moving the company forward.
Yeah, and that's that part of the reason we've actually invested in a IT AI expert within the Wilson 360 team, so they can go in and help companies help with the automation and just come in from a different perspective. So I think that's definitely where many companies are going. So I'm glad you understand that and appreciate that. So I think if you're not getting on board with this now, you're going to be left in the dust in the next 5 years. It's just there's no doubt. Yeah, 100%. And I think traditionally landscape companies are slow to adopt. I think in this case, I think you're almost being forced to adopt, or you're going to be left behind.
I think you have to, and I think you have a big shift in the industry going on right now. You know, I think you have a lot of boomers that are getting out of the industry that are either selling or passing down to the next generation. And then I know that in my peer group meetings that I go to, there's more guys in their 20s running companies than I think I've ever seen. Right. And I don't know if that's the way guys my age felt when I was in my 20s, or if that's just what I'm seeing now, right? But I feel like it's, the industry is continually getting younger and younger.
So what's final parting words to our listeners? What's any way they could get hold of you, or if you have any words of wisdom you would love to share with the listeners?
You can find both of us on LinkedIn. You can search me, Justin Bates, Bates Landscaping. I'm very easy to reach that way. If, anybody wants to know about how we're building our company or about how we're running a family-run business, or if they want to know how we've utilized tech to decentralize our office or anything like that, or just questions in general. If you're a property manager and you want a community-focused company, right?
Yeah, I would love to.
And you're easy to reach to.
Yeah, just LinkedIn and stuff like that. That's where we spend most of our like social time and things like that. And then we have, a company page and everything. Yeah.
Awesome.
I guess if I had a big piece of advice, it would be there's a little bit of stress that comes up every single day when running a business, and try not to let it consume you. Right?
That's so true.
Focus on the future. What am I doing next year?
Yeah.
Yep. There'll always be challenges, but keep looking ahead and use those challenges as learning experiences.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Justin, Melissa, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on as guest today. Good luck with your future growth, and look forward to staying in touch with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
we appreciate it.
Okay. Have a good day. Cheers. That's a wrap for today's episode of the Commercial Landscaper podcast. I hope you're walking away with some great nuggets that you can immediately apply to your business, whether you're in leadership, operations, or you just want to show up every day with that Ironman mindset. Remember, growth doesn't happen by accident. It happens with intentional moves, bold conversations, and surround yourself with the right people. If you found value today, subscribe, leave a review, or share this episode with others. And again, don't forget to check out Wilson-360. We have digital courses from account management, operational excellence, leadership development, or some of the other coaching packages we offer. Anyway, huge shout out to our sponsors. Thank you very much. And I'll leave with this. Have a pure, dead, brilliant day.